Hey everyone, this is Yami, your Latina next door. Welcome back to Mi Casa. I know it's been a while since I last showed my face on here. A lot of you have questions and are wondering what's been happening, what's going on, what are we up to? And I'm here to answer all of those questions.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know if
Now, most of you know this, but in case you have not been filled in with the details, we sold our house this past August. And the reason we did so was because we purchased a 19-acre piece of land in the state of Tennessee. We had been thinking a while of moving outside Georgia, and Tennessee was just the place we kept going to. We finally made that happen and bought our 19 acres. Now, once we sold our house, we ended up moving in with my parents, and the stay ended up being a little bit longer than expected. Since the property has no house and we hope to start construction on our new home before the end of this year, we had to get a place to live. Now, a lot of you guys know this story. The initial rental situation fell through and it was an absolute catastrophe. But we came back and decided to go ahead and purchase a camper, which is what I'm in right now. Our camper is on site. We got it up here and we were running on a generator for quite a while, which was very loud and not so fun. Basically, because the electric, the water, and of course the internet for our new property was non existent. And we had to either make the arrangements or install those ourselves.
Real water. So rented the trencher to dig the line for the utility. Back there is where I hit the 2-inch water main. They were able to come fix it yesterday, but unfortunately I wasn't able to get deep enough. All right, so the power comes from that way over the hill and then continues down and keeps going down the hill. And what the utility came and did is they put a pole right here and tapped onto the existing wires, and then they tapped off from there and went to the other pole down there, and they put the transformer on top of the pole to step down the voltage, and then ran the cables all the way down to our panel back there. So now we have our permanent power, which took forever to get to, but we no longer have to run the generator. All the stuff inside the RV runs a lot better because it's at, actually clean power versus generator power, which, if you know a little bit about electricity, generators don't produce as clean of a power, or that type of generator, the little small ones. But anyways, so the heaters are running much better. The microwave is running better, and it's nice and warm inside there. And our biggest obstacle to moving up here is completed. So this is the service. This is the other side. So behind the camera is the pole.
Hold on, let me pan to it real quick. That's the pole we saw. This is the trench.
Which
Is a mud pie right now.
and we had to get 2 excavators out here because the rock that runs through the property, we had to have an excavator that had the bucket to dig, and then the other one that had the big jackhammer to break the rock to get deep enough, because you had to go down to a certain depth to run your underground.
It was a very, very wet winter here up in Tennessee. And, the locals were saying it was kind of just not the norm. So we had to wait a considerable amount of time to get our power installed. It was just too much. So we had to keep putting off moving up here, and just, days turned into weeks, which turned into months. And we didn't get to move here till the halfway through January this year. Again, it was something that we did not expect to take so long. When we finally got the power, then we had to wait for internet. And a lot of the work, since it's outside, trenching just like the water and the electricity, because it was outdoors and there was so much rain, everything was backed up. Work orders took twice as long. So I didn't even have internet here for a while. And Nelson actually works from home. So we were all using up our hotspots on our phones for his internet and his work. And we couldn't use it all up on me doing videos and uploading content because Nelson needed that every single day. Now, the reason I haven't been able to do a lot of videos is because, well, we are in a camper and Nelson works Monday through Friday, all hours of the day. He's in meetings, he's got phone calls. It's just not really good for me to sit here and start doing videos like this. And I can't do voiceovers either. I'd be talking and then he'd be talking and then you'd hear him. The reason I'm doing this video today is because he's actually on a business trip and I have the camper all to myself. While I haven't been able to edit videos, I have been taking footage of all the different things that we have been working on since we have been up here. First thing we had to do was get me a laundry space. There is no laundry space on this camper. I had to go to the laundromat. And I will tell you that that is something I do not like doing. It's very nice to have one convenient, local, where you need it. You know, it's a necessity for some, and it was a necessity for me for a while. However, I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. I would have to load all of my laundry, get it in the mule, take the mule to my car, load all of the laundry there, go to the laundromat, unload everything, wash it, stay there while I was washing clothes all day, and then fold everything, bring everything back, and unload it in the camper. And that was pretty rough. I did that for several weeks, and it's expensive to wash laundry that way. I did not realize that it would cost me a quarter for 6 minutes of drying. We dry clothes for at least like what, 40, 50 minutes sometimes on a regular cycle, and I would have like 6 loads. The first thing we did was look for a shed, and which is when we found out that there's a such thing as repossession of sheds. We were going around several local places and came across this fairly cheap shed that was advertised. And we realized it was as cheap because it was repossessed. And we had no idea that that was a thing. So we got a very, a used, cheaper shed that was quite large. And we set it up as my laundry room. Of course, I got to step outside from the camper, but it's only like, 20 something feet away. And we had to buy a washer and dryer because my washer and dryer is stuck in the storage, very deep in storage, and we can't get it out. So we had to get a whole new washer and dryer for not just the laundry space, but also to hold some extra pantry items that we had on hand. I don't have space in here for full on pantry. My fridge is very small. My freezer is even smaller. And we thought that it would be a good thing for us to also have a large freezer. Another reason we needed that freezer was because Nelson wanted to get half a cow as quickly as possible. We are blessed that we have a cow farm right in front of us. We know the neighbor who does it. It's very nice to be able to have somebody locally that you can buy half a cow from, or a whole cow if you want to. But the opportunity came for us very quickly to buy half a cow, and Nelson did not want to miss out on that opportunity. So we went ahead and purchased a large or a large freezer so that we can go ahead and house that. My plans initially was to paint and get everything nice and ready before everything got moved in. Unfortunately, my painting timeline, the weather, the coldness, and how it all kind of went down just didn't fall in the order that I wanted it to. So the shed, I got to paint it halfway before we moved in the laundry and the freezer and all the other stuff. So I'm still working on that and getting it looking, nice and tidy. And just a nice place to go to whenever I need some of my extra pots or some of my extra food. It's just nice to have right there. Also, during that time, we had signed up my oldest daughter for the 4 H program here. Now, she was really excited. She wanted to be a part of it. And one of the things that she wanted to be a part of was the chick run. And that's where you get little chickens and, you raise them and you end up selling a few of them at a fall festival. Well, we had to get the chicks because they were here. We also had to start figuring out where we're going to put these chickens once they grew up. So we also had to start a chicken coop, which my husband has done a great job building. It's still unfinished, and I can't wait to show you guys the complete, start to finish, but we're still working on it, but the chicks are actually transferred in it and they've been working out just fine. And we got the Plymouth Barred Rock chicken. We haven't lost any of them so far. They're still there. And yeah, that's been an experience, and I can't wait to share more about that. Now, these projects like the laundry shack is what I call it, and the chicken coop, they're not completed. And I will be doing videos on those so you can see how they turned out from start to finish. But I just wanted to give you guys an idea of the stuff that we have been working on behind the scenes. And I have been, gathering footage on so you guys can see the entire process. Now, one of the immediate changes once we moved up here was, unfortunately, I could not continue homeschooling in our current setting. Homeschooling in a small camper, 3 kids, and a husband who is working full time during the day on the phone and on video conference calls all the time. It was going to be very uncomfortable. So we were very fortunate that we have a local school here that we like, and we were able to send the kids there. They're still on par with the things that we feel are most important to teach children. They're very old school. We really appreciate that. And it's a small school, so they get a lot of, attention. It's not overcrowded. And so that's really nice. We also thought it would be a great for the kids to start making friends and meeting other people during this time. So they are actually at school right now. That is, one of the big lifestyle changes that we made. Now, it might not always be that way, but for right now, with us having such small quarters, homeschooling while my husband works all at the same time was just going to be way too chaotic. And I will say, my kids are very happy at the school. They enjoy going there every day, and it's been really good for them. They are, they have friends. They love the activities. They love their teachers. They have a lot of fun stuff going on. And, they're truly enjoying it. So far, that has been a very good experience for us coming up here and having them go to school out there. That gives us a little bit of, a break to take care of things while we're here or to manage stuff because everything is a lot farther. The only thing that I would say that is a drawback for moving up here is the fact that I'm a little bit farther away from everything. We're looking at least 40-minute drive for to my local Walmart. And so that has been an adjustment. I used to have a supermarket, 3 miles from where I lived, and that was very convenient. I also had like $6 trees within, an 8-mile radius. And I had a Home Depot just 8 miles away. I had a lot of convenience where I used to live. Here, when we go out for whatever it is, we have to plan ahead. We have to make sure that we know exactly what we're getting, and, it gets taken care of when we get there. So it's not like, oh, I'll just go back if I forget something. No, not here. Honestly, that is the only drawback. Everything else is great. We love it up here. The kids love it up here. It's just the air is fresh, it's calm, it's quiet. There's no traffic. There's no congestion. it's fresh air. It's beautiful country life. And I will say that all of our neighbors, we have been really blessed with good neighbors. They all take care of each other. We pray for each other. We're there when we need each other. I have had more dinners at my neighbors' houses than I have ever had in the 10 years that we lived back where we lived. Here, people are more apt to be like, hey, let's hang out. Let's do something. I'll go to your place. We'll go to my place. Come on over. And that is something that I was really missing. And it reminds me of like my family in Puerto Rico because everybody, they all lived with their doors open. You could just walk right in. And here, you go to the neighbor's house and they're just so welcoming. And they're like, do you need anything? I'm going somewhere. Do you need me to grab you something? We bring each other food. We, deliver stuff for each other. We check up on each other. We make sure that that we're all okay. So the sense of community up here is completely different from where we used to live. It's a lot warmer and a lot kinder. And I've also been able to explore. I go to different towns nearby and I see what they have and how quickly I can get there. And, why would I go to one versus the other? I think we've picked our favorite, nearby town. But, if we do need something right away, I do have like a Dollar General about 5 miles away from my house. Our town is actually down the mountain because we live on a plateau on top of a mountain. And if we go down the mountain, there's our small town. And, we have a grocery store there. We have a Family Dollar. We have a Dollar Tree over there. We have a few family restaurants. And then we have McDonald's and we have a Taco Bell. And those are the only two fast food restaurants in our local town. So we don't even have a Walmart in our small town, but that's okay because there's one the next town over. So yeah, that's just it's different, but that's okay because there's a lot of like local farmers and shops, and we have been very fortunate to also live very close by to a Mennonite community. And they're the old order Mennonites. So if you come across their community, they would look more like the Amish because, they still have the horse and buggy, and they still have like the Amish wear and everything. And so it's been really nice to have them. They have a lot of shops. They have like a pantry store that we love to get like flour. I love to get my spices there. They have a great deli. They have a local like a garden center where they have seeds and plants and all the gardening stuff that you can imagine. They're only about 20 minutes away from us. So that's really nice. They have a lumber yard. They have a surplus goods place. They have like quilting notions and fabrics. They have a really nice community over there. And, I have been buying from local people, local businesses more. It's more satisfying that way than always going to the big box stuff. And we really enjoy that community. We love going there all the time. We just had a huge order from them, which I'll tell you about in just a second. So it's been nice to actually, just change our shopping habits, where we buy our food, what kind of food we buy. And we have found that living up here, you get a lot better quality food, and you enjoy cooking even more. And you all know that I enjoyed cooking. I enjoy homemaking. It's always been a passion, but when you find these even better quality ingredients, it just makes it that much sweeter. Back to that big project that I talked to you about earlier. Our house is going to take quite a bit of time to complete. And Nelson has been working really hard on gathering contractors and finding reputable people and companies to come and do the work. He's got a pretty good lineup, but we're still trying to find, different kind of people for the different things that we need for the house. We are hoping that by the end of summer, we can break ground. The house, however, will take a substantial amount of time. Our plan, which I will share with you guys soon, is it's a beautiful plan. It's my dream home. And because of that, we're going to take our time, make sure that everything's done right. And we do things as smart as possible Because of that, and because my husband also has a full time job, the build is going to take longer than we initially expected, and that's okay. Because of this, though, we're going to need a little bit more space, and I need to get back to doing what I do, is being on here with you. So, we purchased a small building, and that's going to be my YouTube studio. But it will kind of function as like a tiny home for us in the meantime while we build our house. Living in a camper with 5 people has its challenges. And this summer, our kids are going to be home from school. And unfortunately, my husband still has to work. And them being here or outdoors 24/7 is just, it's going to make for a very uncomfortable situation when we all have to be here every day. There's only so much time that the kids are going to want to spend outside. And I totally understand that because it's going to be hot, it's going to be summer. So we decided to go ahead and start the YouTube studio. Our new floor plan to our house will not have a basement, and that's where I had my YouTube studio at the last house. So when we finally picked the floor plan that we're going to be putting on our property, it didn't have a basement, but we knew that we were going to have a separate little building for me so that I can have my YouTube studio. I can go there during the day and, close the doors at the end of the day and not worry about that anymore. And we were both excited about that. We thought it was going to be done after the house build, but now it's going to be done before the house build. And this building, I want it to look like a cottage. I want it to look like it's a small home. It's going to have a full bath, it's going to have a kitchenette area, and it's going to have a living space. And it's going to be completely finished. I have all the details for it, and I can't wait to share more about it. And this is where I'm going to be shooting all of my DIYs and all of my decor and all of my crafting and painting and all that kind of stuff in the future. But it will also serve as necessary extra square footage for us to be in whenever Nelson is working and having his meetings and on his phone calls here. It'll give us a little bit of separation so that he can have his professional time and me and the kids can be hanging out elsewhere during the summertime. So that is going to be the big project that we're going to be sharing with you all coming up here very soon. We're going to be working on this for the next few months. We have the building already on the property right behind us. And we had the shell built out, which was actually the Mennonite community where we got it built. They built it in no time. It looks absolutely adorable, and I cannot wait to share all the details of what it's going to look like once it's complete. Nelson and I are going to be finishing out the inside. This is going to be pretty heavy construction wise because there's a lot to do. We have electrical, we have insulation, we have a building to build out, we have a kitchen to build, we have a living space to create, and we have a lot of design elements that are going to be just really fun and cute and unique for this space. I want everything to be cohesive, everything to have a nice cottage feel. Because I want it to be, no matter how I'm recording in my future DIY projects or crafts or sewing, I want the visuals for my video to be very aesthetic, very beautiful. I don't want it to look like a craft room. I want it to look like a beautiful space where I'm creating, especially if it's going to be my forever YouTube studio. So I really wanted to do something different in this space. And if I want to do recipes in the meantime and share them with you guys know I love sharing recipes as well. I don't do it as often, but I hope to bring a lot more of those. I'll have a kitchenette where I can do that because in the small RV kitchen, you just can't film. It's terrible. And I'm just glad that I'm eventually going to have a space where I can start making videos again. Because honestly, if I don't have the space, I don't have a place to do any DIYs, which is, what I love to do and why you guys are here. So if I don't have a space to create, then I can't make any videos. So that is going to be our project that we're going to be working on and sharing the entire process. I hope that you guys will love it. I have a lot of really fun things to share. I think you all will really enjoy the YouTube studio slash tiny home series that we're going to be recording. And also, we also thought it would be great to give you all ideas on, how you could live beautifully and comfortably in a smaller square footage setting. We're very surprised at the tiny home market here locally. There are shed shops everywhere, shed to home places everywhere here in Tennessee. And we thought with so many shops, competition would be crazy and how could they stay in business? But to be quite honest, a lot of people purchase them because it is so much more inexpensive to go shed to home than it is to buy a house. And a lot of people do that. And if you're in a situation where you buy land and can't build a house right away, it's definitely a great option. And we want to share what you could do with one of these smaller spaces. So there's definitely ideas for all. There's going to be, construction, there's going to be DIYs, there's going to be, you know, um, tiny space living and organization and decoration. It's going to be really exciting. And I hope you guys are going to be here and just enjoy the ride with us. And then once we break ground on the house, we'll be sharing that process as well. Unfortunately, things have taken a little bit longer than we expected, but that's life. And, we're just taking it one step at a time. I'm glad to be able to share the update with you guys and just kind of tell you all where we've been, what's been going on. And I promise this isn't half of it. There's even more news coming your way, and we're very excited. We are looking forward to the future. There's so much change and so many things going to happen with us that, God has been really great. He's blessed us with a lot of things. There have been a little bit of, speed bumps and just things along the way that we had no control over, like the weather. I even had to cancel a few sponsored posts with companies, that I had some great projects for, but unfortunately the weather was just not allowing for it. And I couldn't, put that stuff together in time. And, it was totally fine. My whole schedule got turned upside down and, I haven't been able to, do what I love the most. Another thing is that all of our stuff is in storage. We don't have much at all but, the clothes on our backs. So we're starting from scratch on so many things. We're very lucky though that we have a huge container on our property, like one of those big rig containers that you see on, the shipping containers. And we have one of those, and it has all of Nelson's tools, and we have some supplies in there and some random things that we can use around here whenever we create projects. Yeah, everything else, like all my furniture, my bed, all my bedding, that kind of stuff, it's all in storage and it's pretty packed in there. So it's hard to even get out. So we won't have any of our stuff for a while, which is kind of strange when you think about it. But yeah, that's where we're at. We're doing fine. Kids are adjusting just fine, probably better than we are. And I have just been adjusting to life in a more rural setting. So that is all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoy this update. Understand that I am trying my hardest to get back to my regular programming. I hope to do more vlogging on the homestead next door and share more kind of rougher behind the scenes over there. Like I mentioned, we're going to have the laundry shack, we're going to have the chicken coop project. We're hopefully going to have a raised bed area project also that we thought we were going to start, but we were told by one of our neighbors not to start anything because we were going to have freezes still, and it's April and we have, 30-degree weather at night. So we're glad we didn't start that because everything would have died. I have a lot of plans. I want to do a lot of things. It's just about whether or not we have the time and the weather to do so. So yeah, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm rambling, but it's been a long time since I've been on here talking to you all. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day, and I will see you all very soon in the next video. Until then, adios.
Life is a winding road,